What's up, deviants? Welcome back to the Naughty Corner. This is Court is in Session, and I have guest host Nate. We are coming to you from the unceded lands of the Wanneroo people, and we are starting off with a pick your poison. My brother-in-law is upset, and he told everyone that his brother stole me from him. My husband refuses to take care of our disabled child.
I don't want either of these.
Well, that's why it's poison, Nate.
They're both poison.
Yeah, it's Reddit. It's all poison.
Give me the stolen brother.
So this is coming from the subreddit Just No Mother-in-Law, which is interesting because it's mentioning a brother-in-law, but it's on Just No Mother-in-Law. So I'm wondering what the fuck she's going to do.
Yep.
Okay, my brother-in-law is upset. He told everyone his brother stole me from him. I've only got a few more stories left about mother-in-law. Got to look up this
Yeah, we need the
OP's
backstory.
account. Like, okay, we've got some exploring to do. The star of psychological thrillers such as Irish Stew Incident, Blue Wedding Dress Debacle, and S'mores Dip Incident.
I smell a whole episode just based off this one user.
But as people seem to really like them, I thought I'd go all the way back to the beginning when mother-in-law first displayed her true self. I've said previously that without her I'd never have met my husband, which is true. What I didn't explain is exactly how horrible she got that first night, but looking back, it's red flags galore. My husband and I went to the same university, but on totally different courses. I was a humanities student, he was a STEM student, on opposite sides of campus, and it was a large university. And neither of us ever went out to parties or anything like that. We even had different favourite coffee shops. There were only 2 on campus, and he preferred one, I preferred the other. I would probably never have met my husband if it wasn't for her. I had a job as an admin assistant, part-time, mainly just scanning and filing, and immensely boring. To pass the time, I would chat with other people in the office, and we'd do things like potlucks and parties at the end of the month. Mother-in-law worked there as a senior assistant full-time, and she was 1 or 2 steps below the office manager. She'd always seemed nice to me, until she wasn't. At one of these parties, she cornered me. She asked if I was single, and I told her I wasn't seeing anyone. She immediately said I should meet her son and invited me over for dinner to meet him. Aside from this being grossly inappropriate, I had just got out of a relationship, so I said I'd check my schedule, intending to dodge the invite for as long as possible, as I only had 1 more month before my contract was up. She then showed me a picture. In the picture was son 1 with his wife, son 2 with his wife, mother-in-law, father-in-law, son 3 stood alone, and daughter with her husband. So I assumed she meant to introduce me to son 3, since he was the only unmarried person in the picture, and not to be shallow, but wow. Suddenly, I wanted to go to dinner and meet him. And I was right to want that, as son 3 would one day become my husband. So a few nights later, I showed up to her place holding a nice bottle of drink and wearing an even nicer dress. She smiled, welcomed me in, and introduced me to son 1, who was apparently recently divorced. He was arrogant, full of himself, condescending, kept staring at me, and kept putting his hands on my waist, all in full view of mother-in-law, who smiled like nothing was wrong. I go to sit on the sofa, right against the arm, because I figured son 1 couldn't get me there. But he comes and sits on the arm of the chair. I budge over and he moves right next to me and puts his arm over the back of the sofa where I am.
Yep.
We keep going like this with me moving a couple of inches over and him following me. Mother-in-law tells us that son 3, my future husband, might be coming by, and he does. Right as I'm about to fall off the sofa on the opposite end I started on, future husband, stop harassing the poor woman. Hi, I'm my future husband's name. My brother isn't bothering you, is he? Mother-in-law, before I can say anything, I am proud to say that I raised 3 perfect gentlemen. Future husband looks like he doesn't believe a word, and he goes to get father-in-law. We sit down to dinner. Mother-in-law and father-in-law sit on one side of the table. I am directed to sit opposite them with son 1 on my other side and future husband at the head of the table between me and mother-in-law. Mother-in-law keeps asking me questions, and I tell her about my life up until now. And as she is so specific with her nagging, I don't hold back with the whole, well, mum is an Irish immigrant and my father's family is Jewish thing. as well as the first in my family to go to university thing, and the dad bailed on us pretty early, but mum worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over my brother and I thing. Son 1 is clearly not paying attention to a single word and keeps touching my thigh under the table, so I alternate between ignoring him and having to smack his hand away. Father-in-law is incredibly interested in my uncle, who is a carpenter and owns a small DIY business. Dad's a gunner dad. And taught me a lot. My future husband is hanging on my every word, asking me questions and trying to find out all he can, and I'm doing the same on my end. Trying to include everyone, but pretty much focused on him. The meal was chicken and potatoes, and I did a frankly expert job of cutting away the raw parts of the chicken, ew, and hiding it in the potatoes. However, because I did this, I knew that when the time came to scrape plates, I had to jump to it. So did future husband, who had done the same thing I had. In the kitchen, away from the others, we got to talking. The conversation basically went, future husband, I can see and hear you smacking son 1's hand away. Want me to beat him up for you? It would also be for me, because he's just horrible in general. Me. No thanks. Is it just me, or does mother-in-law suddenly hate me? Future husband, probably the Irish thing, or the Jewish thing. Me. Oh, future husband, sorry. Me. Why are you apologizing? Future husband, because that's my mother and my brother, and this is a very bad time to ask you out, but I want to do it anyway. I gave him my number then and there. Father-in-law appears smirking. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. But mother-in-law has asked me to make coffee. Future husband gives me a hand. OP, she wants to see you. Future husband blushes bright red, and I go in to talk to mother-in-law. I don't know where son 1 went in this time, but he wasn't in the front room or the kitchen. Mother-in-law, so what do you think of son 1? Me carefully. You raised a lovely man. You should be proud. Mother-in-law, I am. I gave him your number. So here's his to put you on equal footing. She held out a scrap of paper and I took it, feeling physically ill at the idea of me and son 1 going further, but also aware that she was my superior at work and I was a guest in her home. I figured I could just take the number to appease her and then not use it, as I was only contracted to work there for another month.
Correct.
Me, thanks. Mother-in-law, I'm worried there was some misunderstanding on your part. You see, I brought you here for son 1, not future husband. Son 1 just got divorced. He needs someone nice to get him out the other side. And I'm worried you and future husband would be inappropriate, what with your age gap. And at this time, the story takes place, both me and son 1 were 21, while future husband was 22. I don't know how son 1 had already been married and divorced by this time, but my husband is pretty sure it was a shotgun wedding, followed by son 1 changing his mind about fatherhood. Future husband and father-in-law come back in. I sit at one end of a love seat, and future husband comes to sit next to me. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, and son 1 sit on the 3-seater sofa. I see mother-in-law whisper something to son 1, and I brace myself. Son 1 comes over to the love seat and physically forces his way in between me and my future husband. And as the seat can only fit 2 people, son 1 then shoves future husband until he has to stand up or fall on the floor. I don't know the word brute. I don't throw the word brute around, but this was brutal. Future husband smiles apologetically and goes to a single-seated chair. The conversation is exactly the same as before, with mother-in-law blowing hot and cold to me at any given moment, father-in-law being genuinely interested in me, future husband wanting to talk to me, and son 1 having no concept of personal space. I excused myself really quickly after that, and future husband and son 1 both offered to drive me home. Only for father-in-law to tell them both to stop being idiots, and he drove me himself. Well done, Dad.
Yep.
On the way, he joked about me and future husband pulling the old switcheroo and apologized on behalf of mother-in-law. Future husband texted me later that night. Future husband, so can we not call that our first date because that was horrible? You're like halfway through the video.
Jesus.
Yeah. Halfway through. I have had this happen to me before. Like, there wasn't someone I actually was interested in the house, but I have had people target me and try to push me together with their son. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like yes, I understand.
Are you trying to pimp me out or your child?
Yeah, it's just like, if people are going to get along, then it is going to happen naturally. Like, sure, by all means, facilitate a meeting, but whatever happens from there is going to happen. Don't mind me, I've just been fucking shedding all over the floor because I keep feeling knots in my hair. And
no, it's fine. Chloe has decided to shed 3 times as much as usual because pregnancy.
If anything, it'll get a lot thicker, and the real shed comes after the birth.
Oh, yay.
When all the hormones drop.
Yay.
Hopes and dreams, hair. Open a bag of chips, hair. Yeah. Have you had people push you together with someone? Or is it
No.
too subtle and the tism just didn't recognize it?
I have had them suggest that I meet someone because they think that I will get along with them, but people have mostly known me and known how I am and who I be, and have decided against trying to set me up with someone.
We would never
Because it's either going to work or it's not, and that's for the person to decide whether they're dumb enough to try. Like Chloe and I worked because we met each other through our shared interest of D&D and clicked day one, and neither of us realized we were flirting at the time.
because tism.
Because tism, but also because I'm just naturally flirtatious with everyone. In fact, I probably flirt worse with the guys in my life than the girls.
I get that feedback.
She was in a relationship. I was then in a relationship when she was not. And then we both ended up being single at the same time, and it just worked. But again, I wasn't being clear enough or picking up the signals enough, so I had to very bluntly state, just a reminder, I am autistic and need to know if you were flirting with me. She sent me a rather scandalous picture, and I asked for an address.
Thank you for being clear. Thank you.
Message received, what is the address? And we have been inseparable since.
Yeah, I can't deal with the tension buildup. Like, it's like, dude, you're making me nervous. Like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
Do you want to fuck me or are you scared? I can work with either one. I just
Can even turn that fear into part of the sex if you would like.
Yeah. Like, the only thing I would be pulling OP up on is the
fact that you're actively seeing your son be handsy.
Well, OP. So
Yeah.
about the
Oh, yeah,
mother-in-law, like I would straight up tell her, like, he's actually making me really uncomfortable by the fact that he's practically on top of me and touching me without consent. It's making me super uncomfortable.
And the fact that you've just whispered something into his ear and he's come over and made it even worse.
Well, that was after the fact, after the conversation that she'd had, which is exactly why, like, I couldn't just be like, yeah, he was nice, you should be so proud. I'd be like, he seems to have a problem with personal boundaries. You should fucking fix that before he ends up in jail.
Meanwhile, who'd that be?
Yeah.
Because I want that one.
I also understand the fawning for a month until all of this shit is over.
I also misheard absolutely everything in the beginning because I realized that they were using future husband as a pseudonym for his name. I thought he came up and literally introduced himself as, hi, I'm your future husband. And I'm like, bold move, and I appreciate the play.
Yeah, post someone put up a couple of days ago where it's like, this guy just had to have been like, this is a call that I never expected, and I had no choice. I had to take it. He asked me if he could use my phone to call his girlfriend real quick. And I said, sure, and gave him my phone, dialed a number in. His own phone rang. And then he picked up his phone and said, hang on, you'll have to give me a couple of minutes. I'm just hanging with my girl. And then hung up. And so that way we both had each other's numbers. And I just...
Smooth.
Yeah. Like, it's like, how could you say no after that? Edit. For people who are asking, later that night, Son 1 sent me a dirty picture of himself and called me a hateful name for not responding in kind.
Of course he did.
6 months later, when future husband reintroduced me to the family as his girlfriend, Son 1 cornered me in the kitchen and tried to feel me up, and future husband rescued me, again, and gave Son 1 a black eye. To this day, Son 1 gets drunk and tells the story of when future husband stole his girlfriend. Mother-in-law spent the rest of the time I worked there asking me about Son 1. Oh, God.
Show her the picture.
Which picture?
Second she asks about him after he pulls this shit, show her the picture.
Oh, the dick pic.
This is how it went with your son. He clearly has no respect for women or boundaries. Enjoy.
This behavior, you should fix that because it's incel territory.
Yeah.
Completely coupled with the mother-in-law that's trying to facilitate access to women for him. Update. So this is about 4 years ago, shortly before the blue wedding dress debacle. Mother-in-law was turning 50, although my husband tells me she'd been turning 49 for a few years now. And she wanted her 4 kids, 3 sons including my husband and a daughter, to plan the whole thing. They were allowed help from no one except the kids. My husband had recently begun a new job at entry level. He was working 60 to 80 hours a week. Good brother-in-law and his wife were both working full-time jobs while going through the adoption process. Sister-in-law had 3 kids and was a nursery teacher. Only one of all these kids was over 10, and the rest of her day was spent around little children. Her husband worked in the next town over in a job that required regular overtime. Horrible brother in law refused to step up to the plate, kept saying some other time when people tried to plan with him. I don't talk bad about people for no reason, but like he's a total horrible person who to this day hits on me whenever he has a chance. And at this moment in time, he was literally unemployed and living in mother in law and father in law's basement. Of fucking course he is. He had nothing to do aside from play Xbox and let her cook for him, and he still refused to help plan the party. About 3 weeks before the party was meant to happen, my husband caught the flu. I came home from work around 3:30. Back then I was a teaching assistant, to find my husband shaking and sweating over his laptop, planning the party entirely on his own. He then explained to me why his siblings weren't helping and said that as the party was 3 weeks away, it had to be sorted now when he was on sick leave. I messaged his siblings asking for some help with the party, and good brother-in-law and sister-in-law both said they'd love to, but they were busy, and horrible brother-in-law said, if it's so important to you, then do it yourself. I made my husband talk me through everything, including the email mother-in-law had sent him, which listed exactly what she wanted, from flowers to decorations to seating plan, and specified which venue too.
Oh, good. So she's already planned the party.
I sent my husband to bed and started ringing around to see who could do exactly what mother-in-law had asked for. For the most part, I only got quotes, but for the venue, as she had specified exactly what she wanted, I booked it, both because she was set on having it and I managed to get 40% off.
Nice.
She also wanted handmade decorations by her kids. This meant a photo collage of them and various DIY handmade decorations. I went to the local craft store, got my husband, good sister-in-law, and brother-in-law on FaceTime. Horrible brother-in-law was busy, and walked through the store buying anything they liked, which was pretty much just glitter, string, craft paper, and some frames. I also put the gift bags she wanted, mini champagne and chocolate with a thank you note, in my cart online, but didn't purchase. For everything else, I made a spreadsheet of vendor name, contact info, what they were offering, price, and the discount they'd offered. With a few, it was significantly cheaper, as I have a cousin who's a bartender, another relative is a baker, a friend of a friend offered to do music, another is a caterer. I did my best to include all the siblings, and I managed to get the good in-laws on FaceTime a few more times, and plus my husband did the invites once he was feeling better. But for the most part, it was me planning. This seemed fair to me, as while she wasn't my mother, I was the only person out of me, my husband, and all the siblings and spouses who worked totally regular hours and didn't have a child of my own to look after. And they all told me, except horrible brother-in-law, that they were grateful for the help. She's a fucking saint.
No, I feel like horrible brother-in-law went straight to mother-in-law, told her, and this has caused an issue because she only wanted her children planning it.
Oh, guaranteed. You tainted it.
By giving me what I want. How dare you, you monster.
2 weeks before the party, it was pretty much sorted. All I had to do was call back the people I'd spoken to and confirm, but until I did that, the only thing guaranteed was the venue and the people who had RSVP yes to the invites. My husband took the pile of business cards, quotes, and plans I had made with the vendors and went to meet mother-in-law and his siblings for lunch, where she'd asked him for a status update. I don't know exactly what happened, but at some point my husband admitted that I'd done a lot of the planning, using her specifications as a guide. She lost her mind. He came home apologising just as she rang me. I put it on loudspeaker so my husband heard everything as mother-in-law ranted at me over the phone, saying this was meant to be something for her kids to do to bring them closer together. I apologised and explained why her kids hadn't come together the way she asked them to. But she said I should have held off for them to sort it out. I've got to say that...
Sure, next time I will, and you will get no party.
And honestly, that's fair enough.
Welcome to the consequences of your actions.
Yeah, but I do agree with mother-in-law on this one.
Yeah.
Like, in this case, if that's what you're trying to do, then the point is to experience the finding out part of your fucking around, or not fucking around in this case.
Yeah.
So the rescuing of it, had the husband did only what he could do, and then because no one else did anything, then barely anything came together, then that is a representation of what she gets when only one of her kids are actually putting any sort of effort into it. And if they don't manage to come together, then that is a representation for her of exactly what her kids are willing to come together and do for her. And that is also something that she should learn. Like, I don't think she should have rescued.
Because it's also an indication of how she raised them. Definitely more a case of nurture versus nature.
I'm also just not into wives rescuing their husbands, or just women rescuing men in general. Like, no, you can fail. I'm not going to save you. You've grown, you figure it out.
Well, the thing is, he was actively trying. It's not like he failed.
Yeah.
He would not have failed had he not gotten sick with what sounds to me to be the man flu.
I definitely think he still would have failed, but only because this was supposed to be a 4-person effort.
Correct. It just would not have been as bad as possible had she not stepped in and he not been sick. She still would have gotten some sort of a party. It just would not have been a very good one.
I don't know, would he though? Because the only reason why he was able to organise anything was because he got sick. He was only doing it on his sick leave. Had he not gotten sick and had been working this whole time, would there have been any time for any of them?
I'm pretty sure she said he was still organising stuff in the background as much as he could while still working.
Well, no, it was while he was sick. Because he said that was the only time that he had to do it while he was on sick leave.
He would have still had weekends and everything. He just wouldn't.
Well,
Yeah.
60 to 80 hours a week, does he even get a
To be
weekend?
fair, when your mother is this much of a piece of shit, you're probably not going to want to do it anyway. But yeah, I could see that being a thing.
I reminded her that they had less than 2 weeks to cover things and I hadn't confirmed with anyone yet, and mentioned the discounts I wrangled, which had knocked a few hundred off the starting price. She then replied with something anti-Semitic, I'm half Jewish, about how your lot would do anything to save money, and something anti-Irish about me being manipulative. We're too drunk for that. She then said, I don't want you having any influence over this party. I put my kids in charge, leave them to it. While all this was going on, my husband was texting good brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and even managed to voice record one of the anti-Semitic parts. He sent this to good brother-in-law and sister-in-law, saying, Mum wants us to do all the planning, so we're going to let OP off the hook, okay? They both texted me apologising for mother-in-law, saying they'd talk to her and they would handle the party planning. My husband turns to me with the biggest grin on his face. He said, right, in order to ensure you have absolutely nothing to do with this party, could you do one final favour and ring your vendors and confirm we won't need your discounts? So I did. Then he tells me that the photo frames I bought could have something done with them. Have we ever considered making a collage for our photos? So we made one of us and put it on our wall, and made one of me and my brother for my mum's birthday. He sees the craft paper and wonders how long it's been since either of us made a paper aeroplane. And we decide to make some because it's been years. Then he asks to go on my laptop and look at the spreadsheet, and oops, his finger slipped and he deleted it. Then his finger slipped again and removed the gift bags mother-in-law had wanted from my cart. We left what my husband had done as it was, but as when he'd done it, he was sick with the flu, it wasn't a lot. The venue booking was done on his card, and cancelling would mean losing the deposit, so we left that intact. We messaged the siblings saying the venue was booked, but nothing else was done. The siblings spent the next 12 days balancing planning the party with everything that had stopped them previously. While horrible brother-in-law noped out of the planning again, they told him that he could take part of the credit, knowing he would be a stupid something about it. So on the drive there, he didn't hesitate to take credit for the whole party, saying no one had helped him whatsoever and he'd done everything himself. Reminder, last he heard, I had the perfect party all ready to go. They looked into caterers, but the caterer requested almost double what mine had, as it was less than 2 weeks' notice. So they decided to order pizza instead. They booked a florist, but the florist couldn't do the arrangements exactly how my mother-in-law wanted. They paid for the drinks, but forgot the bartender, and father-in-law went behind the bar to serve drinks all night. They forgot the DJ, and my husband was able to hook his Spotify up to a speaker. But he was using the free version, so there'd be an ad or two every 30 minutes. And songs would play at random. The cake was a store-bought sheet cake with brightly coloured icing and clearly meant for a child's birthday, and there was enough cake for maybe half the attendees, even when it was cut as small as possible. End of the night, I got yelled at by mother-in-law. I reminded her that horrible brother-in-law had literally just taken credit for everything that happened. But she insisted that I had set him up to fail by leaving him to it. My husband, good brother-in-law and sister-in-law all said that mother-in-law was the one who requested they plan it. I couldn't be held responsible for their actions, and it kind of worked, in that she stopped yelling at me, but she never forgot it. Father-in-law realised what had happened and laughed and gave me a hug before driving mother-in-law home.
I don't know why he's still with her or why they are still letting her be their mother.
Well, in his case, men don't know how to exist without their wives, so even when they are complete shit cunts, they're like, well, it's better than having to cook my own meals. You'd be surprised what a man old enough and not willing to give up half his
I've
super
had
for.
that in my life before and seen it too many times. But again, just because she is your biological mother does not mean you have to have her in your life. You have actively seen her be racially aggravating to your wife, saying things that should be clearly never forgiven if they are using racial slurs. Why is she even still part of your life?
Well, we don't know what happened after
You
that.
don't have children which are her grandchildren. It doesn't matter how much she
I mean,
has apologized.
if anything, that would be a reason specifically to go no contact. Like the whole staying together for the kids thing is never a reason to do
Yeah,
that.
but this is very much feels American coded. Over there, it is much more of a thing than it is here in Australia, as far as I have seen.
Well, when it comes
But-
to the older generations pushing that, like I'm your mother and I'm their grandmother, like that fucking means something. Like
Yeah, I
just
don't care.
entitlement. Yeah, no, neither. I had someone in my life like that. Well, there's the reason why I don't have people in my life like that is specifically because I cut them all off. Like I don't care if we have XYZ type of relationship. It's I'm not having that around me. Why the fuck would I allow it around my kids? Like
Yeah.
like these are the people who are like, yeah, I'll do coke off a stripper, but like my standards for my kids are higher.
Yeah.
Like,
No, if my kids are doing coke off strippers, I'll be fine with it.
just I expect a cleaner stripper.
Yeah, I'll
Like
just
one
be
without the
judging
glitter.
them by how much the stripper has cost them.
And how clean the cocaine is.
Yeah, well, you don't want a glitter-covered stripper if you're doing coke because you're going to be snorting glitter. And that shit does not come out for a while, if ever.
Sneezing
I
glitter.
totally don't have experience with it.
Oh.
But yeah, the fact that they are apologizing for her gives me the feeling of, oh, well, she's our mother, so there's nothing we can really do, but we are sorry for what she said. No, there is something you can do. You can walk away, realize, and help her realize what she's done, or nothing changes and you've gotten the toxicity out of your lives and can now be happier.
Mother-in-laws are such fucking heavy hitters when it comes to mental health in a relationship. It's like when you have a shit boss at work and like you can have the best fucking job in the world and you feel like shit every single day if you've got some cunt in your workplace bringing you all down. It just, especially when it comes to, management supervisors and whatever, it really does make or break whether or not you can consider a job or a workplace sustainable. And in a relationship, they're made or broken based off of how a mother-in-law or other family members behave. Like I had 2 mother-in-laws in my first marriage, and that was because one of them did have a very big problem with substances, and so he was raised by his grandmother. And honestly, I prefer the addict every day of the week. Like, did she constantly ask for money? Sure. Outside of that, she was fucking unproblematic.
Yeah, they at least know who they are.
Yeah. Whereas the mother-in-law, like, she had me demanding I invite people to my wedding that I'd never even met and couldn't understand why I didn't want to be introduced to people at my wedding.
Yeah.
Especially when we paid for every cent of it ourselves.
That's
I
when you
can't
hit them
even.
with the, if you're paying for it, sure, invite whoever the fuck you want. If we are paying for it, we are in
Invite
control
whoever
of the
the-
guest list.
Yeah, invite whoever the fuck you're willing to pay for. That's totally fine.
But also, sure, they can come to the ceremony, but they're not coming to the reception.
Oh, after all that, the people that she demanded we invite, they didn't even come.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That was wild. That is the end.
God,
Highly poisonous.
I should have chose the other. I feel poisoned.
Yeah. Yeah, we should get some water, flush that out. Thankfully, it's been flogging down rain here, so that's helpful. All right, I gotta go stretch my shoulders since we're about to record another one, and I can't sit in this chair for very much longer before my shoulder completely locks up. So, thanks for joining us for this episode of Court is in Session. We'll see you next time in the Naughty Corner.
I need some goddamn nicotine after that. My God.